I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be shy people have the most to say. Well, it's funny bringing up this topic. When I was younger, when I was in high school, like if you talk to some of the girls, my friends that knew me from high school, they'll say, Corey was always so shy. He was so quiet back then. And obviously look at what I do now. I mean, I talk for a living, basically, and share my wisdom and my life experience and the skills that I have to help people reach their full potential, because these are the same things that I'm applying in my own life day in and day out, that I've been applying for several decades and been helping employees, friends, family, clients, thousands of people over the years with this stuff. And so it's just amazing to me. I had a doctor friend that one time said this to me. He said, because he was actually a network chiropractic doctor, and because the spinal pattern that my spine was in was one of shyness, basically. And I think he was one of the first people that said, he says, shy people have a lot to say. And I was like, it's actually really true. Because a lot of times, like at least in my case, when you grow up in a family where you're constantly ridiculed and made fun of, and you're teased, and you're not getting any I love yous or any I'm proud of yous or any of that kind of stuff. So for me personally, I was very insecure and unsure of myself. And since I was always getting blasted by my mother or my dad or some other grandparent or some other family member that was making me feel bad because they were teasing me, it caused me to be unsure of myself. And so therefore, as I got older, I started learning to just hold in what I thought and what I felt inside. And because getting people's approval, especially like when I was a kid, getting my parents' approval was something that like hardly ever happened. And so I was just desperate to have the approval of other people, especially when it came to my personal life, when it came to dating the kind of women that I wanted. And this is what drove me in all of this needy, insecure behavior, that if you've been following my work for a while, you see a lot of guys have the same kinds of problems, basically. It's just, it's interesting when I talk to people that are struggling. It's like a guy will meet a girl that he really likes. And about a year ago, I had a conversation with a really good friend of mine who's been with his wife for several decades now. And we were talking about that. It's just like some guys just can't handle it. And I did a video newsletter a few days ago for a guy who was young. He was in college, and it's just amazing. The guy's fine, and then he meets a girl that's interested in him, and it's just like he fucking totally comes unglued and can't handle it. And it's like everything he does and says is just like obsessing over, in essence, bringing about the end of the interaction or the relationship, because like deep down he's being driven by fear that it's not going to work out, fear that he's going to get rejected, just like he always has in the past. And it gets really hard to move beyond that behavior, especially when you're emotionally anchored to certain ways of being and thinking and showing up. And so before I get into this guy's email, I got a quote that I'd like to share with you that I wrote down. And it says, when people fear being accepted by their friends, family, potential lovers, society, etc., they sacrifice and turn away from being and becoming who they really are in an effort to become what they think others want them to be, in order that they may gain the acceptance of others and feel good about themselves. The problem with this is that they almost never feel happy and end up mostly feeling guilty because expressing the true essence of who they really are and their feeling of self-worthiness are suppressed. Therefore, happiness and fulfillment are always dependent upon someone or something outside of themselves and their control. And usually when you depend upon the approval of another person for your happiness or your own validation, more often than not, you're going to be disappointed, because if you don't get the approval back that you're expecting, then you're going to be disappointed. And at least for me, with my parents, because I was constantly wanting approval but never getting it, so I was used to not getting people's approval. So when I got involved in whether it was friendships or women that I started dating, and I was constantly seeking approval and validation, it just never ended well, because I always like presupposed that it wasn't going to work out. And so let's get into his email. He says, "Hey Corey, I'm a 42-year-old man and I've been divorced now for 10 years. I have a good job paying with lots of freedom to come and go, and I got a great son who lives with me full time, and I'm a good-looking guy who's in great shape, even compared to guys who are much younger than me. That being said, I was raised in a home like you described in your video, Stand Up, Be a Man video. I've always been an approval seeker from both men and women, and never really having my own opinion or doing things that I like and just going along to make other people happy." Well, how's that working out for you so far? Probably not too good. Because it's like happiness and fulfillment is a moving target, because it's always dependent upon other people and circumstances that, for the most part, are pretty much largely out of your control. And so most of the time, you're going to be used to not feeling happy and not feeling fulfilled. And if you're like me, at least I know when I was younger, basically what was going on in my adult life is I was continuing to not get the love and the approval that I sought. But the problem is that I kept seeking it from people either that I had screwed it up with, or who just simply were unwilling to give me the approval that I wanted. And it's once I got to a place where I really stopped giving a fuck what other people think, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. When you let go of other people's opinions and learn to just be comfortable with the person that you see in the mirror, you become comfortable with who you are, you accept who you are and where you are in life, no matter how far off your ultimate dream life or your goals may be, or the successful business that you want, or getting to be CEO of the company that you're currently working for, whatever it happens to be. In other words, you accept yourself and you love yourself enough that you're content with where you are, and you're not playing this movie of constantly, incessantly living in the future, or incessantly living in the past and regretting or missing what once was and no longer is in your life today. He says, I've been in lots of relationships since I've been divorced, but it's always been with women who I did not really care about, and that I ended up staying with for too long because I don't have the confidence that I get the women that I really want to be with. Well, that's exactly that line of thinking and that way of feeling is what drove me to get married, and to marry a woman I should have never married. I wrote about this in my book, because same thing, I was afraid I'd never find anybody better. And it was really scary as hell when I finally did grow a set of balls and leave my wife to eventually become what I needed to be, learn what I needed to learn in order to not only create attraction but maintain it. And so what you're seeing here is that you get with a girl you really like, and it's like the old conditioning kicks in that you don't feel you're worth it, and then you just literally chase that person right out of your life. And so the women that you really could take it or leave it either way, kind of like the one that you're dating right now, you don't really feel like you're losing anything, and so therefore you don't have a scarcity mindset, and so you're not chasing them out of your lives, and therefore that's why they tend to want to stick around. But the key is that you've got to treat all women the same. You've got to treat women like you deserve to be there. They don't want to be put on a pedestal like some kind of celebrity, which is probably what you're doing when you get around a girl that you really like, is you just go into like approval-seeking overdrive type of behavior. So he says, I always have been very fearful of saying the wrong things or saying something stupid to a woman I want to meet, so I usually just end up saying nothing, which leads to a lot of negative self-talk and beating myself up after she's walked away. Well, here's the bottom line truth, dude. Out of 100 women, only a certain percentage of them are going to physically, you're going to do it for them. And so when you interact with a woman, you just want to simply know, are you in or you out? Obviously without saying it that way. And if you apply the techniques that I talk about in the article, 3 Ways to Seduce Women, if you Google Corey Wayne, 3 Ways to Seduce Women, I'll also post it on this article on my website. If you follow that, you'll be able to interact with women in a very simple way that's not going to chase them out of your life, because what's happening is you're meeting women that you got a shot with, and you're just blowing it because all your needy behavior and your over pursuing just literally runs them out of your life. And so he says, or if I do talk to her, that I'm so in my head that I cannot relax and end up sounding like a robot because I'm trying to anticipate what she's going to say, or filtering what I am saying so as not to say something she won't like. I mean, that's like being in a fucking straitjacket, dude. I mean, that's just a bad way to go. And so a great way to take pressure off is to ask questions. If you can get the woman doing 70 to 80% of the talking, then it's very easy. You can get used to sitting there and having conversations with women without worrying about running out of things to say. Because if you really like the girl and you're fascinated by her and she has interest in you, she's going to want to keep the conversation going. And she's going to like the fact that she's talking to a guy who's actually interested in where she grew up, what she likes to do for fun, what she does for a living. And he's excitedly interested as she's explaining what she does for a living and why she loves it so much and she's so passionate about it. It's a beautiful thing to talk to another human being, man or woman, and they really are excited about what it is that they do. They're excited about their purpose and their passion in life. And, and at the end of the day, people love to talk about themselves. And so if you start asking people about their favorite person, they'll be happy to oblige you with talking plenty. And if you've got a girl that's not really chatting with you, you can just say, hey, well, I'm going to get back to my friends, or hey, I'm going to continue moving around. Maybe we'll meet up later in the evening. Have a great night. It was nice chatting with you. And move on to the next girl. Don't be afraid to walk away. It's just that you haven't interacted with enough women. If you interact with 100 different women and you saw and stopped doing all of your old behavior that was turning women off, you would realize, wow, there's certain women that, as long as I don't do the wrong things, in other words, as long as I don't talk them out of liking me, I have a shot with them if you just interact with them in the ways that I talk about in my book. He says, I'm currently in a long-distance relationship with a woman that I really like, but the distance and some of my past actions, being too available and open, have her pretty much running the show right now. That's definitely not a good way to go. He says, I'm at a point in my life that I want to have a relationship with a woman that I respect, enjoy being around, and I'm attracted to, and that's both good to me and my son. You deserve it, dude. He says, I need to get some confidence in talking to all types of people, not just hot women. I did a video called Improving Your Social Skills. Google Corey Wayne Improving Your Social Skills and go do what it says. He says, I need to get some confidence. He says, I'm so in my head right now about interacting with people that I'm losing hope that I'll be able to find a relationship that I really want to be in, or having the quality friendships that I would like to have. The anxiety of it is really starting to affect me in all areas of my life, and even in how I interact with my son. Well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. When's now a good time to change your approach? He says, I need a plan on how to overcome my fears and doubts about talking to people and overcoming the need to have approval of other people. These fears are also affecting my work because I could be making lots more money if I would go out and do sales. But these fears and doubts keep me from going out to do this. Well, what are the consequences? How much pain is this going to cause you in the future? How much more difficult is it going to make for you as a father to raise your son and send him to a good school when he's old enough to go off to college, if that's what he wants to do with his life? You got to think about the painful consequences of being a lazy ass, basically. He says, I know my life could be much different if I can overcome this, but just thinking about going to the mall to talk to people brings on an anxiety attack. Then walk around, just like I talked about in the video, improving your social skills. Step it up slowly. Go at your own pace. Just get used to practicing, making eye contact, smiling, saying hello to people. Then start going to the stores and talking to clerks and asking for their opinions. People love give their opinions on anything and everything in life. If you practice, you will feel better about it. That's the best thing that I can suggest for you to do, is go to those videos and articles that I talked about and apply what I teach. And you also might want to consider going to my website, click the products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions for booking a paid phone coaching session with yours truly. I will talk to you soon.